Hello everyone, my name is Jonah, and today I will be teaching you about the tool John the Ripper. So, what is John the Ripper? John the Ripper is a password cracking tool at its core. It was originally released in 1996, but is still being used today actually quite a bit. It was originally designed to test password strength and ultimately crack hashed passwords. So, in order to understand how John the Ripper actually works, you kind of need to understand how passwords are encrypted. And passwords are encrypted in either a one-way format or a two-way format. In a one-way encryption, these cannot be decrypted. They're used for password matching, and usually they use a hash to encrypt the password. And a hash is basically just an algorithm that encrypts it. So Google uses SHA-256, Microsoft uses the NT-hash, Instagram uses PBKDF2, and there's a whole bunch of different types of hashes. These are just a couple examples. In a two-way encryption, these can be decrypted if someone has the key. They use a key in order to verify the password, and they're not as secure as a one-way encryption because if someone has the encryption key, then they can have access to any password that is on the server. Okay, so then how does John the Ripper actually work? Well, there are three different methods that John the Ripper uses. First off, dictionary attacks. This is the most common method of cracking a password in John the Ripper, and it's the one that I'll be demonstrating afterwards. It uses a pre-existing word list of possible passwords to check against the hash password. And this works really well against simple passwords, or I guess basically any kind of password that's already in your dictionary. But this is a pretty reliable way if you have a comprehensive dictionary or word list. The next kind of method is a brute force attack. With this, the user can input settings to narrow down the search, such as a minimum or maximum length, if it's letters or letters and numbers only, if there's any special characters in the password, etc. So after you put in these limitations, it guesses through every combination of password possible within that set limitation that you already set. And if it is a long and complicated password, brute forcing your way through it can be an extremely slow process. But if it's a simple one, then it won't take too long to crack it. The third method that John the Ripper uses is called rainbow tables. These use a large pre-existing dictionary similar to that in the dictionary attack, except for instead of that dictionary only containing passwords, it contains pre-calculated hashes and their passwords. And then the password that you're trying to crack is then compared to this table in the hopes that the password will match one of the entries that's already in the dictionary. So this is completely useless if there's not a match in the dictionary, or if that hashed password is salted. And when you salt a hashed password, that means you're basically adding random extra bits of data to the input of the hash function. And it basically guarantees that the hash is unique, which will render rainbow tables obsolete. Okay, so now we'll be getting into the demonstration of a dictionary attack. So, John the Ripper comes free on Kali. Here you can see all the different kind of syntaxes, but we're also going to be using a dictionary that Kali Linux comes with called rocku.txt. So in order to find your rocku.txt, you type in locate rocku, .txt. And then this will show you the directory to wherever your rocku texts are. I already put mine on my desktop just to make it easier for me to deal with. And here is this version of Rocku. This version of Rocku on Linux has 14 million different passwords on it. It is a pretty big list. But there is also another version of Rocku online that you can get for free that has about 32 million passwords on it. So it's a pretty comprehensive list. Next, you're going to want to put your hashed password into a text document. So I'm going to be using md5hashgenerator.com. And this just basically this is a website that just translates a password into an MD5 hash string. So let's pick a password that's on this list to make sure that it actually works. We'll be going down, just scrolling down a little bit. Let's say someone's password is Barbie. So we'll go to md5hashgenerator.com, type in Barbie, generate, and here is our hash. So we will copy this, and we're going to put it in a text document on the desktop. So I have it right here. We're not going to be using this one. Put it in there, save it. Okay, now that we have our RockU dictionary and our password on the desktop, we are going to be figuring out what kind of format we're going to be using. So in order to do that, type in John format. Oh, excuse me. List equals format. Okay, this shows all of the different kind of formats and hashes that John can deal with. So we will be using raw MD5 because we used an MD5 hash generator. There's also SHA-256 right here. For Google, NT is right here. That's what Microsoft uses. And there's a whole bunch of them. Basically every kind of different hash is on here. So then we're going to be using the command John -- format is equal to raw MD5. Hit space. And then we're going to drag our RockU on here. And this just brings over the directory. So that way John can locate it. And then we'll drag in our passwords. And we're going to make sure that there is a space in between these. Okay. Hit enter. And then after a little bit of thinking, John the Ripper spits out that the password was Barbie. And then it says here that it's proceeding with incremental ASCII. And basically what John's doing then is it's gone through the entire list and found the only option that it could be, and now it's going to be brute forcing its way through it, trying to find every single kind of possible password that the hashed code that we gave it, what it could be. So we already guessed what the password is, so we're going to cancel this. And if you do not have a word list, for some reason you don't have RockU on your computer, you can just skip that over and it'll just default to brute forcing. So you would only put the password in and then it would brute force it. But if it is a complicated password, then brute forcing it will take a long time. Alright, thank you for listening to my presentation on John the Ripper. I hope it was informational. Thank you.